Hey everyone, my name is Josh Kroenke. Yeah, just like the owner of the Denver Nuggets. But I'm not into basketball or management, and I'm definitely not a billionaire. What I do know is cars, and that's exactly what I talk about on this channel. Alright, enough with the intro. Let's get into today's topic.
Updated, July 31st, 2024, 12:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Published, January 14, 2024, 9:19 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. When you hear about the engine brake, you probably think of a specific part that stops the car or slows it down, but that's not the case. It's a key element of the car's mechanics that helps make your driving safer and more reliable. It refers to the braking system in which the gearbox, throttle, and fuel injection are related. If it sounds complicated, let's take it step by step. Next, we will give you more details about what the engine brake is, how it is used, what it is used for, and what types exist. What is the engine brake? Types of engine brakes. How to use the engine brake. Advantages of using the engine brake. When to use the engine brake. What happens if the engine brake is used too much? Common engine brake failures. What is the engine brake? Knowing how the engine brake works will not only expand the driver's repertoire of skills, but will also contribute to more efficient and safer driving. Engine braking, also known as engine braking or exhaust braking, is a technique that uses engine resistance to slow the vehicle. Unlike tangible elements such as ABS brakes or traction control systems, engine braking allows the driver to use the engine's own resistance to manage the vehicle's speed. It is a system whose operation is very simple. If the gearbox pressure is greater than the speed of the car, then the engine brake action will occur. In other words, if you are in your vehicle and the gear is in second or third and you do not step on the accelerator, your car will stop on its own without the need for you to step on the brake. And what is the reason for this? The answer is revolutions. The more revolutions there are, the more difficult it is for the brake to act. The lower the revolutions, the easier it is for the braking system to act. In other words, instead of relying solely on the traditional brakes, the driver can reduce speed by releasing the accelerator, allowing engine resistance to slow the vehicle. Types of engine brakes. Downhill engine braking. The brake pedal plays a very important role here. If, when going down a street, your car starts to increase speed, press the pedal longer, and with it the gears and revolutions will be reduced until the engine is switched off. Engine braking on the flat. This braking system is intended for use in congested cities. Here the engine brake will respond if the gearbox is in first or second gear, because in traffic, if you let off the accelerator, the car will automatically shut down. How to use the engine brake? Release the accelerator. When detecting the need to slow down, simply release the accelerator pedal. This step cuts off fuel injection to the engine. Advantages of using the engine brake. There are many advantages of the engine brake. You get great fuel savings, you avoid brake and brake pad wear, you use less brake and transmission fluid, and your driving becomes more natural and smoother. In addition, your tires, not having less acceleration, will have a longer service life. But let's better list the benefits of this resource: less disc and pad fatigue. By using the engine brake, the fatigue of the brake discs and pads is reduced, since the braking load is distributed between the transmission system and the conventional braking system. When to use the engine brake. Whether in normal driving conditions or in an emergency, using the brake pedal is almost always the safest and fastest way to reduce a car's speed. The engine brake can be used in normal conditions as a way to prevent brake wear, not as a safety measure. That said, it is advisable to use power braking in specific circumstances to ensure proper and safe braking. The power braking technique is especially useful mainly on downhill slopes, as it helps to prevent the discs from heating up or fatiguing due to prolonged use. On roads with sharp curves or steep grades, it is a good option to use the engine braking technique so that the load is not so heavy on the brakes. Advantages of using the engine brake. What happens if you use the engine brake too much? Although engine braking is an efficient technique, excessive use can lead to increased wear on certain engine parts, such as the cylinder segments. It is recommended to use it sparingly and to supplement it with the conventional braking system to ensure optimum performance and vehicle safety. With proper knowledge of these techniques, drivers can take full advantage of modern tools to make their journey safer and more enjoyable. Common engine brake failures. If you notice failures or problems, here's how to tell if the engine brake is damaged. Strange noises. If applying the brakes causes a high-pitched squeal, you need to see a mechanic as soon as possible. When to use the engine brake. Inability to stop quickly. Warning lights. You may also be interested in, is it dangerous for your car to use the engine brake? What happens if the engine brake is used too much? What is the brake booster and how to know when it is not working properly? The most common faults with electric hand brakes in the car. Common engine brake failures. What is an engine brake? How to calibrate an engine brake? How to use engine brake on automatic car. Engine brake sound. Engine brake. In emergency, what is a car brake? In conclusion, the engine brake is a valuable tool for drivers, particularly in heavy vehicles and during challenging driving conditions. By utilizing the engine's compression to slow down the vehicle, it not only enhances control but also reduces wear on the traditional braking system. The advantages of using engine braking include improved safety, extended brake life, and increased fuel efficiency. Understanding how to effectively use engine braking can lead to a smoother and more efficient driving experience. Thank you for watching, and we hope you found this information helpful.